Hello, it's Claire from Come Back Brighter here. So I want to share something with you today, and that's how it is that the damage is done when it comes to the relationship between yourself and a narcissist. Because I've experienced something in my life, and I think it's quite a good way of kind of relating it to the same kind of thing. So my son is 11 years old, and we have a cat, and she's very timid. She was like a rescue cat, so she wasn't raised in a house. So all the normal household noises of, the Hoover, any kind of like the TV sometimes, any kitchen appliances, anything like that are quite terrifying for her. And what I've seen an interaction between her and my son, because he doesn't understand, although I'm trying to help him to understand. And he does this thing that wherever he sees her, he kind of he'll be playing with her as he sees it, but it's not the way that she sees it. So what he'll do is he'll have something in his hand and he'll go right up to her with this thing in his hand, or he'll want to be his face right in her face. And what I'm trying to explain to him is that every time he does something like that, he's making her more and more afraid of him. Which upsets him. He doesn't want her to be afraid of him, but that's what's happening. She's jumpy if he's in the room and everything, because almost every interaction that they have is him kind of scaring her a little bit. So it made me think that I have felt a certain amount of guilt, and this is completely normal as a scapegoat. I have felt guilty for the relationship that I've had with my parents, and guilty that I had to make the decision to go no contact. I felt like it's my fault. And I think what I've realized through seeing that interaction between my son and my cat is that there's so much damage done to the relationship. And it's not one big thing. It's not like one big incident that leads to the disintegration of the relationship. And I mean this more so on our side to them than the other way around, okay? Because I think what happens is there's this gradual disintegration of trust in the relationship. So they use every opportunity to show you how little you matter to them, okay? And that is like in every single possible way. So it's things like if you're asking for like emotional help, so you're sad or scared about something, and they'll laugh at you about it. Or you say that you want to do something, and they'll do everything to make sure that that is the one thing that doesn't happen. They'll make sure that there's no way that you do that thing. So it's not a big thing that happens, but it's a series of tiny little things over a progression of years, okay? And what I've seen is that I've seen people who've lost narcissistic parents and they don't grieve. And that's because the damage has been done so systematically over those years of childhood and adulthood. Every time there's been an expectation from the narcissistic parent or a need expressed by the child or by the adult child too, the narcissist has done the opposite. And that absolutely decimates a relationship. Okay. So, and that's the price. Okay. So I know somebody at the moment who's lost his mum, and that's utterly devastating for him. And I see other people's emotional reactions when they say that one of their parents has died. And I've seen people whose parents have died like 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they still can't talk about them without getting emotional. And to me, that's like incomprehensible. But what it is there was love, okay? There was love on both sides. There was love for the parent for the child, and for the child for the parent. Okay. And the deeper the love, the deeper the connection, the deeper the parent saw to the child's needs and loved them unconditionally, the more devastating it was for the adult when they lost their parent. So conversely, when you have a narcissistic parent that dies, all they've really done over the years, at every single opportunity when they could show love, when they could show support, when they could show care, they've done the opposite. And every single time they've done that, it has broken the relationship. And a relationship is a two-way thing. Okay, it's a two-way thing. And if both people don't put into it, and it may not be like equal between a parent and a child, but if both people don't put into it, then it's not really a relationship. So I'm telling you this because I think that we're also like told, but by our narcissistic parent, that we're like heartless or cold, or that we don't love them, and that we don't care about them, and that we don't support them. But actually what they're doing then is they're projecting onto us what they do to us. And it's a way to manipulate you. Okay. So if you're told these things consistently, or that you're selfish, whatever it is, you're told these things consistently enough, you start to believe it's you that's the problem. But really, when it comes to like a relationship with a narcissistic parent, is they do everything. They do everything the wrong way around. So just as much as a loving parent builds a loving relationship with their child by loving them, supporting them, caring for them, meeting their needs, a narcissistic parent will not love their child, will not support them, will not care for them, and will not meet their needs. And that means that the relationship from the child to the parent is destroyed systematically over a number of years. And that's not your fault. That's not your fault that they've done that. Because narcissistic personality disorder is they make a choice in their behaviors. They make a choice in the things that they say and do. So they can have two children in front of them. And for one child, the answer is always going to be yes. And that's the golden child. And for the other child, the scapegoat, the answer is always going to be no. So it's a choice, because it literally depends who's in front of them. And their behavior as a choice, because at 1 minute they can be either completely silent, stonewalling, not even recognizing your presence in the room. But then if somebody else comes into the room, somebody they want to impress, somebody they want to look good in front of, then they will then completely change and become friendly and nice and all the things. So their behavior is a choice. And I think that's something that's really important to understand. So I think this is something that potentially that people will be dealing with as they get older, as a narcissistic parent gets older, because as you're like looking at the future and you're thinking about your parents' demise, you won't have the sadness, you won't have the devastation when they do eventually die, because the relationship has been systematically destroyed over the whole of your lifetime. So I want you to understand that that's not your fault, and that if you don't grieve, if you're not sad when they die, it really truly is a reflection of the damage that they did to your relationship. It's not about you. It's not that you're cold-hearted, that you don't care, that you're not capable of loving, that you're selfish, that they're all these things that you've been told over the years that you are. It's none of those things, because that's not the truth about you. It's because they have systematically damaged the relationship over decades. So if that's how you're feeling, don't beat yourself up. It's the thing is, it's so difficult to spot, and I've kind of realized this, but it wasn't until I saw the interaction between my son and the cat that I saw it actually playing out. I saw that how every time he does something, that he chooses to do something that scares her, that's intimidating to her, that is loud, that is too close to her, he's damaging the relationship with her. And it will come to the stage where he'll come into the room and she'll run out because she just doesn't want to be there in the same room with him, because she's kind of associating him with being afraid. And I think that's a really good point too, is that this is like the trauma bonding, is that we look to our parents to show us love and care and support and everything else. But actually what happens is they're the ones that are abusing us. So we go to them looking for these things and they give us the opposite. They give us the opposite of what it is that we're looking for. And it's a really difficult thing to comprehend, is like, they are the source of my misery and they make me feel bad about myself, and they don't act like they love me, but yet I still need to hear it from them. And this is how you can get trapped in that cycle, that trauma bond cycle, where you keep on going back to them all the time, asking them, begging them for something that they can't give you. And that really is torture, because that's what the narcissist relies on, is you being so desperate for their love and approval that you will continue to put yourself in a position where they can abuse you. So they use your need for them, your love for them, against you. Every time you go back to them, they'll be like, oh, good, they need me. Right, they're really vulnerable now. They need to hear that I love them. And then they do the complete opposite. So I hope that this helps. If you need me, please reach out to me, Clare, CLARE, comebackbrighter@gmail.com. Bye.